Jupiter has started its retrograde motion, and all of us are going to be impacted a lot by it. Hello everybody, I'm Tina Chaudhary. Welcome to my channel and a very warm namaste. So Jupiter has started its retrograde motion already on June 20th. It's going to stay retrograde until October 18th. So right now it started its retrograde motion in the sign of Aquarius, where it's loved being there. And then it's going to keep retrograding, and then on September 15th it's going to enter into a Capricorn, where it's going to meet its not such a friendly planet, Saturn. And then from September 15th to October 18th it's going to be in the sign of Capricorn, where it's going to be meet, like I said, Saturn. October 18th is going to stay in Capricorn, and then after October 18th it starts to move. It starts its direct motion again, and it starts moving towards Aquarius again. So let's take a look at the nakshatras that it's going to travel through. So right now it's in Aquarius, and it's in the nakshatra of Satvishak. Satvishak is ruled by Rahu. On July 20th, it's going to go into the nakshatra of Dhanishta, and Dhanishta is ruled by Mars. And then while it's in Capricorn, it will stay in Dhanishta the whole time, and then it starts its direct motion again on October 18th. It's going to stay in Dhanishta the whole time. So the nakshatra of Satvishak is ruled by Rahu, and one word description of Satvishak is the word healing. So we've known Jupiter to be in Satvishak since the last few weeks, and the whole world has seen a lot of healing from the pandemic. A lot of countries are opening up now while Jupiter has been in Satvishak. It will stay there till July 20th. And so we've seen a lot of healing. Even countries that had a lot of COVID have now started to heal since Jupiter moved into Satvishak. It will stay there until July 20th. So it's a wonderful nakshatra. Then when it moves into Dhanishta, what is Dhanishta? Dhanishta is ruled by Mars. And so the one word description, Mars always represents action. So lots of action, lots of events related to fame, money, and wealth, because Dhanishta means wealth. So lots of actions, events related to fame, money, and action items. So those are the two representations of those two nakshatras. First things first. So we now say that Jupiter is retrograde. So we understand what a retrograde planet means. If somebody needs to understand that again, you can watch my Saturn video where I've mentioned about Saturn going retrograde, and then it's a really good explanation of what a retrograde planet means. You can watch that. So now we're saying that Jupiter is going retrograde. And what does that mean? It means that it still wants us to reflect back on something that we have done, or our karma, and reflect back, introspect within ourselves on what we could have done better, or what is the unfinished business that we still haven't completed with ourselves or in our life. And that's what a retrograde planet always wants us to do. Keep in mind that right now Saturn is retrograde as well. So Saturn and now Jupiter are both going to be retrograde. It means when a planet goes retrograde that there was some unfinished business that both of these planets want us to reflect back on. Also, when you look back on any unfinished business, any unfinished issues within yourself that you need to reflect back on, there's also a period of introspection that it calls us to do. We need to introspect within ourselves to review our lives that have gone back maybe a few months, it could be a few years, or even a year or a short time, and think about what we could have done better, or what we need to have learned from that time, and what we need to do in order to become better people or have better lives. That's what these two retrograde planets at the same time are trying to tell us. We're just coming out of the pandemic, and both planets are asking us to look back in the last year and a half, maybe even 2 years of our life, and think about what have we been doing wrong? Where could we have made improvements in our lives? Think about them, introspect, balance out this energy, and then move forward. It's a beautiful time in our lives, and I think we should all take advantage of it. There's one more thing you need to know about Jupiter going retrograde. It's that before Jupiter starts its retrograde motion, and before Jupiter starts its direct motion in the future in October, it's going to go through a period where it seems it's stationary. That period is going to be June 20th to June 23rd, and then October 16th to October 21st. This is called the stationary phases of Jupiter. These two phases are the stationary phases of Jupiter. These two phases are very benefic phases of Jupiter, where we can get full benefits from Jupiter. Now, what are the benefits results that we can get from Jupiter at this time? Jupiter represents education, it represents our health, it represents financial benefit results, and it also represents our education. So if you want to do any financial planning for the future, for long-term future, if you want to buy insurance where you get the results at a much later date, you can do that. If you want to plan for education, or you want to start education, especially for children during this time, it's a really good time to do that. Also, if you want to start a religious practice, you want to start a religious regimen, you want to start some spiritual practices, this is a good time to plan and start for them. Also, if you want to do something good for the benefit of society, it's an excellent time for that. In fact, I encourage everybody to start to do something during these times, to do something good for society, meaning you can start a donation, you can do donations, you can do something for the welfare of society. It actually gives you very good benefic results in the future if you do it during these two phases. So get the full effects, get the full benefic results of doing something really good during these two stationary times of Jupiter. For people who already have a retrograde Jupiter in their charts, this is an exceptional time for them, because a retrograde Jupiter in transit and a retrograde Jupiter in your birth chart actually means a benefic result for you. So it depends on where it's placed, of course, but definitely in most instances, a retrograde Jupiter over retrograde Jupiter does mean good things for you. One of the things that I caution everybody against right now is not to do anything bad, not to do anything that means negative karma for you. Because right now, since both planets, Jupiter and Saturn, are retrograding, and later in September, they are both going to be together in the same house, any negative karma done right now, any negative acts against people, or lies, or fraudulent activities, anything done during this time is going to have serious impacts in your life later, because they're both together, and hence anything that we do that's negative karma related is going to come back to us in a much heavier form, and it's going to come to us for sure. So don't invite any negative karma into your life right now. I'm going to move on to predictions. Just so you know, my predictions are based on your rising sign or your ascendant sign. They're not based on your sun sign. They could be based on your moon sign if you know what your moon sign is, but when you look at it from your moon sign, then the results are more mental, more emotional related. And if you look at it from your ascendant, your rising sign, the events are more physical and actually manifest themselves in a physical way. So, but not on your sun sign. The way the magazines that you read them in, that's not the sun, that's your sun sign, so they're not based on those same signs. Also, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so now, and if you like the video, hit a like button and share it with friends and family so they can get the benefits and learn from this video as well. And as usual, these predictions are general predictions, and for actual results, it depends on where Jupiter and Saturn are placed right now in your own birth chart. If you want a personal birth chart reading, you can contact me at the email on the screen. Moving on to predictions now. Aries, Jupiter starts out in your 11th house and then moves to your 10th house. The 11th house is gains, wish fulfillment, achievements, friends, network. And the 10th house represents your career, your status, your position. So you're going to be thinking about that a lot. That's going to be your focus. But what you really need to also do is think about how much effort you've put in the past, and then maybe need to put in more effort. You need to what your relationship has been with your bosses and your seniors and relationships around you. Make sure you have balanced that energy around you, all of this combined, and then you may see the benefits of your effort much later This may not be the time you may see some benefits, but if you put in the effort, you will see it later. But that's going to be your focus right now, is your achievements, desires, and your career progress. Taurus, Jupiter starts out in your 10th house and then moves to your 9th house. The 10th house denotes career, status, position at work, and then your 9th house denotes your luck, your father, religious dharmic practices, and your spirituality. So these are going to be the focus of what you're going to be thinking about the next few months. You need to figure out what has been your relationships, what have you been doing to maintain the spirituality within you. Have you been able to balance the energy of you as a person and then you at work? And have you been in good communication with your bosses, seniors, and have you been able to maintain the relationships as well? Look back and think through things and make sure that all of these energies are balanced, and then your luck will be on your side. Make sure you stay spiritual during this time, and make sure you get the blessings of your father that represents your 9th house. Make sure you don't get into arguments at this time. You've been doing that a lot, and I know you've been controlling that probably. I see some long distance travel for you, or travels related to business or work as well. So that's what I see for you. Make sure you stay very good, close to your father, your dharma, your religion, and your spirituality, and your career may just do well. Gemini, Jupiter starts out in your 9th house and then goes to your 8th house. The 9th house is your house of luck and blessings from the divine, and also your father. So you may start out feeling like things are okay. I've put in a lot of self-effort and it's time for my luck to work out. But then it moves to your 8th house, and the 8th house denotes sudden changes. It could be good changes or bad changes, but sometimes when Jupiter is in the 8th house, it could mean not such good changes. Also, your health may be impacted, and all of a sudden you may start feeling down, and you may start feeling like luck is not on your side, and you may start to argue a lot. You may start to get into depression or fearfulness. So you need to guard against that. Make sure you balance out the energy. You become patient. Don't argue with people. This is a passing phase. Once Jupiter starts to go direct, and then much later in the months when it goes into your 7th house, things will be much better. But right now, it's a time for you to work hard, keep your head down, and just keep working hard. Cancer, Jupiter starts out in your 8th house and then goes to your 7th house. When it's in your 8th house, it rules sudden events, unforeseen things happening, sudden changing of mind, and also maybe some tension at home. But when it moves into the 7th house, all of a sudden you may get good guidance about business. Your business might start doing well. You may start getting really good advice from your business partner. Your marital relationships might improve. So you need to take this time and think about how you've been dealing with the relationships. You need to have a little patience and work hard. The 8th house also means maybe some health issues, so just kind of work through them. The key is staying spiritual, staying with a good health regimen, and staying very patient. Don't get into it with relationships. This time is going to pass slowly or fast, and then things will get better. But just make sure you balance out the energy. Don't get into it in relationships with your bosses, business partners, or people at home, marital relationships. And when it moves into the 7th house, you'll have a better feel for your business partners as well as your marital partners. Leo, Jupiter starts out in your 7th house and goes to your 6th house. When it's in your 7th house, it's good for your relationships. You'll feel happy, and you think things are working along great, and you're enjoying the luxuries in your own home. But when it moves to the 6th house, 6th house denotes some sickness, not getting along with people, fighting, enmity with in-laws, people that work for you, or just people in general. So make sure you watch your communication and you don't get into fights. You don't say things that you didn't mean to, or that can create misunderstandings. Also, the tendency to splurge and buy expensive items will be great at that time, but you may regret that later because they've taken a toll on your financial situations. So you need to watch for that later. Just make sure energy that you have within your relationships and your spending is balanced, and you don't spend too much or say something that you didn't mean to. Virgo, Jupiter starts out in your 6th house and then moves to your 5th house. Now, the sixth house doesn't denote some of the best stuff. So the sixth house denotes your income. It also denotes your health, especially your stomach. And then it also denotes your daily routine. So there's a definite chance of those being impacted in the first part of the retrograde phase. So your daily routine will get upset. You may have some loss of income, or you may have some issues in your career if there's not a loss of income, but you may see some career issues also happening during this time, and you may be very disturbed. Again, like I said, your health may be impacted. You may see some, financial issues come up where, like I said, it could be loss of income. It could be some financial losses as well. But when it moves into your fifth house, it's a happy house. The fifth house is a really happy house. So you may feel all of a sudden that you've calmed down, and you now want to take on new things, meaning new hobbies, new creative pursuits. You may want to spend more time with children. The fifth house also denotes children. It also denotes having fun, and literally just having fun is your fifth house. Fifth house also denotes love in your life. So you may feel all of a sudden there's more love in your life. You've calmed down and there's love in your life, and you may be out to doing things, doing creative things, doing new hobbies, and learning things. So the fifth house is learning of new things. So you may have started to learn more things and enjoy life in general. So it starts out a little bit, not so happy, and then all of a sudden it brings you into a happy zone. So it's an okay transit for you. If you get through the first difficult phase, the second phase is much better for you. Libra. Jupiter starts out in your fifth house and goes to your fourth house. So the fifth house denotes children, having fun, enjoying yourself, and basic calm at home, and just kind of having a little too much fun, I would say, and not too much effort, not doing a lot of hard work. It also means some education, learning new things. So the fifth house is all good things. So you may be a little more relaxed. So not putting too much effort. I don't see you doing that. And having a little bit fun with children. So I see that. Then when it moves into your fourth house, also denotes domestic happiness, and maybe real estate or investments or buying luxurious items or big ticket items at home. So both these houses are good houses. So the Libra people or ascendants may not have such a hard time with this transit or this retrograde motion. So good luck to you. Have fun. And again, in the fourth house, there's concern for your mother. Mother's health may be a little bit of a concern. So just make sure you take good care of her. Otherwise, things are looking good. Scorpio. Jupiter starts out in your fourth house and then goes to your third house. The fourth house is domestic happiness and general feeling of happiness within the four walls of your home. So you may be feeling quite satisfied and sitting at home feeling quite good about yourself, and the fact that you're getting the benefits of whatever you did in the past. And this is also a good time for real estate or relocation time. So this is a good time for Scorpio, and they may have been thinking about this anyway. But when it moves into your third house, all of a sudden you may be a little, jolted out of your happy place and feel like, oh my God, I should be making a little more effort, because the third house denotes self-effort and hard work with dedication and complete dedication and responsibility, I should say. So all of a sudden you're going to feel like you need to put in all this effort and dedicate yourself to the job or work. So, and also your mother's health, this is not a good time for her health. So take good care of your mom's health. And also the second phase is going to be a little more hardworking phase for you as opposed to the first phase. But also those Scorpio ascendants that are thinking of this is a very good time for relocation, because the fourth house denotes buying of property and the third house denotes selling of property. So if in case you're trying to relocate, it's a good time for that as well. Sagittarius, your own ascendant lord is Jupiter. So it's going to start out in your third house, and then it's going to move to your second house. So the third house, I think the beginning of the phase, you'll feel like you're working very hard. The third house denotes self-effort, working hard, responsibility, dedication to the task, also siblings. So you might feel like you're working very hard, putting a lot of effort in to maintain the relationships with your siblings, very dedicated. And also there's start of new projects as well. Maybe start of new something, okay? And then when it moves into the second house, it's going to ask you to look at relationships, your finance, investments, savings, and also you have to be very careful of the food you eat, and because it might make you sick, or you have to take care of your health based on what you eat, and also what you say, how you speak, and what you say to people, because it's going to make you take a good look at your relationships, how you're maintaining those relationships, what you're saying to people, and it's going to make you focus on all that in your life. So make sure you maintain a good health regimen, make sure you eat well, make sure you put in the hard work, and you also not only put in the hard work for work, but also put in the hard work to make sure that your relationships and you're maintaining a good relationship and work-life balance as well. And you put in the effort to maintain good relationships with family and in the home as well, and at work, of course, and at work. Capricorn, Jupiter is going to start out being in your second house, and then it's going to move to your own ascendant house, which is your first house. So when it's in the second house, you're going to feel that you've spent a lot of time and effort in maintaining family relationships. Family, not only your immediate family, but in extended family. So it's going to make you spend a lot of time, effort, and also money, maybe effort, all kinds of resources on maintaining family relationships. It could be doing service for them, it could be helping them, or it could just be doing things for them. And also, like I said, it could be your effort as well as savings or money that's being spent on them. So your relationships. So you feel like you've done a lot for them, or you will end up doing a lot for them during the first phase of it. Once it goes into your first house, which is you yourself, then it's your own self that it's going to impact. It's going to impact your body. You need to take good care of it. Make sure that you start a good health regimen. It's a wonderful time for the Capricorn ascendants to start a health regimen. It could be based on the food you eat, because it starts out in your second house. So one of the things that I would suggest Capricornians to do is to watch what they eat. Maybe you can start a different diet, or to make sure that you're healthy. If you think you've been doing things a little unhealthy, it could be start watching what you eat, start eating healthy, and start working out. When it goes into the first house, it's asking you to take good care of yourself. And maybe because you've been spending so much time and effort on others, now it's time to take care of yourself. Take good care of yourself. And it's also a wonderful, wonderful time to start a spiritual practice. Maybe you can start out doing mantra recitation. Maybe you can start out doing meditation, and definitely doing some spiritual practice. Along with taking care of your body, you have to take care of your mind and your emotions a lot. So it's asking you to do that when it moves into the first house. It's okay transit for you, as long as you take good care of yourself physically, mentally, and emotionally. It's an okay time for you. But that's what Jupiter and Saturn are both asking you to do right now, is to take care of yourself and move to a higher spiritual level at this time. Aquarius, it starts out being in your first house and then moves to your 12th house. Now, the issue my Aquarians are been having is that their ascendant Lord Saturn has been in the 12th house since last year. And so with that happening, they're suffering at some level, meaning that either the expenses have been very high or they're emotionally spent. So the 12th, your ascendant in the 12th house means that you're spent in some way, financially, as well as you're emotionally spent as well. So Jupiter kind of going from the first to the 12th house is also going to do something like that, where the first house is probably going to give you some healing when it starts out being retrograde. It might make you feel a little happier. It might give you some healing, and it's asking you to take good care of yourself. But when it goes to the 12th house, it's going to make you want to spend money, or it's going to make you spend money on some things. Also, again, going into the 12th house with your own ascendant Lord is maybe some health issues are going to resurface back in September and October. An old illness or something that you had in the past, aches and pains that you had in the past may resurface again at that time. So I'm going to counsel the Aquarians. I know you're suffering for a while, but I'm going to counsel you guys to make sure the only way to get out of this is now, while Jupiter is in your first house, is to have a very, very good health regimen, and start working out, going to the gym, or doing workout is actually a very good remedy when your ascendant lord is in the 12th house, because it's actually looking at your 6th house. So it's a wonderful 6th house remedy, is to take care of your health by doing some workout. If you don't want to do extensive workout, you can just do yoga or some stretching, but that's a good regimen and it's a very good remedy to follow. Also, some mantra and meditation will help you now. Pisces, this is also your own ascendant lord. Your ascendant lord will start out in your 12th house and then move to your 11th house. So in the beginning and right now, it's probably going to make you spend a lot, and the spending is probably going to be on family matters, family issues, family get-togethers and stuff like that, all related to family. So it's going to make you spend a lot of money on that for a while. You're going to be spending, paying off things and loans and stuff like that that you've probably incurred for a while now, and so you'll be either spending or paying off loans and debts that are significant of the 12th house. And then when it moves into the 11th house much later, closer to like September now, you might start seeing the benefits of the 11th house, which is gains, benefit from networking and friends, and also from all the activities that you might have been doing now. You might see the benefits of them later. So you need to make sure you keep a tight control on your spending as much as possible. And then also do start something. You can, maybe if you're doing any investments now, you have to be very, very careful. So I'm cautioning you against any investments. If you have the ability, it's a very good idea to pay off any loans that you may have. So it would help that. Also, when it moves into the 11th house, then reach into friends, advisors, gurus for help on how to reap the benefits. And they may be actually very good advice. You may get good advice at that time. So any benefits that you're trying to get, you're probably not in the first part of it, but maybe in the later part, that you'll see some benefits coming your way, or wish fulfillment, desire fulfillment, much later in the phase. This brings me to the end of my video. Thank you for watching and stay safe. Goodbye for now.